Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of That Is Effin' Weird. We've got a bunch of juicy material on today's episode, which is...
Damion, can you please tell us what you know a little bit about this cult, how you got into it, just some basic information before we actually start asking you some questions?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago. I write, well, mainly fiction. I do a lot of horror stuff, and I wanted to kind of branch out, to kind of get my name out there. I reached out to this crowd called Dialogue Ireland. They're a charity that to help people that find themselves, or like to help families of people that end up in cults, or to help people kind of break away from cults, and to help people who are like after coming out of cults and they need like additional help, just to change their mindset away from what they were like programmed for in the first place,
Yeah.
And I reached out to them, asked them did they want any help, and they asked me would I write about this group called Murder Mystery School. And at the time, I never even heard of them. To be honest, I didn't know much about cults. I didn't even know much about cults at the time,
Mm-hmm.
They asked me would I write an article about them, because at the time, you see, not many people knew about them. They were like when I said, like, they weren't that big secret. It's not like a secret organization, but
Mm-hmm.
like not many people had heard about them, and they were just like people were just starting to members that have left were just starting to come out and talking about it, and Dialogue Ireland themselves, they were actually the first people to write about the Murder Mystery School. And Vice, Vice, G.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they brought out an article then, and Dialogue Ireland then wanted an article. So they asked me to jump in and write one for them. That's how I got involved.
There was an organization that was started up, or there was an organization that asked you to write an article about these cult survivors, essentially.
Yeah.
So you did meet some of the cult survivors from this modern mystery school.
I actually became friends with a few of them, We kind of got a bit close at, listening to their stories and stuff, I kind of got close to them, and I kind of continued to kind of talk. I still talk to them,
So can you tell us, when this cult first showed up?
See, what it was about, talk about school, we had to talk about the leader,
Yeah.
And he's not to be honest, though, he's not like most. Look, man, he of course he's shady. He's a cult leader. He's a bit shady, But
Mm-hmm.
he's an interesting kind of bloke, But look, I'll get into his earlier before I get into that now in a while. But he left. He's actually from Iceland. He's Icelandic, and he moved to America in say the mid 90s, around 1995. He went to a place in Ampton, it was called, in Utah. So I'm not from America now, so I wouldn't really know that place too well.
Yeah.
But I think it's near the Rocky Mountains anyway. It is, somewhere around there anyway. He met his wife after he moved to America. He met his wife, a woman called Laurie Seacrest, and she was already an established kind of psychic and healer, all things like metaphysics though, and all things mystical,
Mm-hmm.
And they set up a foundation called the Triolite Foundation, and what they did was they kind of sold, it was kind of like potions and sort of like snake oil stuff now, that was to kind of connect you to God and stuff like that, but it didn't really work out for them, you know what I mean? They weren't nobody knew who they were, nobody heard about them. I think they tried to set up a website, but that website now is long gone. It does though, it gets a bit weirder now. It gets a bit weirder here now after this, but they claim that while driving by, I think it was in Idaho, that a spaceship came down and landed in I think it was a southern 1 minute. No, I get up my notes there now. Yeah, give me 2 seconds there now.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, but it was supposedly like a plasma ship, and there was like aliens on the ship called the Nartors. Nartors was the name of them, and they gave them all this technology. So they believe that, right, we all have 24 strands of DNA, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that these mystical alien beings gave them the tools activate. No, sorry, right? Sorry, I get a bit mixed up there now. right? We have 24 strands of DNA, right? And because he also claims that he's a 3,000-year-old lineage to King Solomon. See, it's weird, like, it is a bit weird. And so through that, right, through that lineage, he learned, and through like meeting other mystics, he claims that he can unlock 22 strands of your DNA, and when the aliens come down, they give him the tools to unlock the final two strands of DNA, and that became the main kind of focus of the group when it started off, because it was small,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they sold. That's what they were selling. They were selling people a way to activate your. It was called a DNA activation. They actually call it a life. They call it a life activation now, but back when they started off, it was called a DNA activation. That's when he got the call. Then he got another vision, and he was told to open a mystery school, and it was called the Rocky Mountain Mystery School.
Okay.
But him and his wife then broke up. He was a bit of a, I don't know, he liked the women, basically, and so they ended up breaking up, and she went away, she did her own thing, and he went away then, and he rebranded the Rocky Mountain Mystery School as the Modern Mystery School, and that's the kind of origins of the Modern Mystery School then,
Well, great. I mean, all of that is really, really interesting. So the whole idea that aliens came down and gave him this information that he could unlock DNA somehow. So that was like their big thing to get followers.
That was their big thing, and that's what sold it in the end, was the aliens.
Okay.
That's how you'd find your way into a cult, isn't it? You're thinking about joining us now that he said aliens, huh?
I'm not thinking about joining. I'm just saying, like, you guys know I dig aliens, so I can understand why someone would, want to join them. Damion, can you tell us why this was so dangerous, as far as like what made the cult, I guess? Because to me, just unlocking your DNA and everything like that, like, I guess what aspect of the cult made them, now what made, I guess, like, dangerous? Like, what were they doing with inside the group?
To talk about that side of it, you kind of have to talk about the leader himself,
Yeah.
and his background and where he came from before he moved to America. And like I said, he makes money. He makes a lot of claims. He makes a lot of big claims. A lot of it I couldn't substantiate, but a lot of it I could, and a lot of it is true.
Mm-hmm.
And before, when he was younger, when he was 70s, right, he would have been in his early 20s, I say. The leader's name is Gudnason. It's a proper Icelandic name there for you.
Mm-hmm.
When he was born a twin. He had a twin brother who died about 30 minutes after they were both born. And he claimed that his brother stayed with him throughout his childhood, teaching him the spiritual realm and all things got to do with spirituality. And by the time he was 13, then he came to the conclusion that he was meant to pass this on to the world and share it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is just another claim. So obviously it's not true, But then, but as he got older, then he met these twin brothers called Håkar and Hodason. They were like Icelandic judo champions. They were like famous enough in their country. In Iceland, they were famous enough during the 70s, and they took Gundy under their wing and started teaching him martial arts, judo. And the two twins actually came up with their own version of, it was like a mixture between martial arts and dancing, a bit like what's that in Brazil, capoeira, is it? Something similar to that. But then, so they taught him anyway. They took him under the wing, and they taught him all the disciplines of judo and their own style of judo. But eventually, as the two did, like Gundy, he wasn't famous. He wasn't well known. He wasn't well known in the martial arts, but the twins were. And they got a part in a movie called Where the Raven Flies. in the 70s, and it was actually it was about Vikings, and it actually went on to be like it was a very popular Icelandic film, and Gundy got a part in the movie also, but like while he was acting in the movie, director was like pretty impressed with him, and he made Gundy the stunt coordinator for the movie. And so when that was all said and done anyway, the twins moved to Sweden, I think, and Gundy stayed in Iceland, and he continued. I think he worked in he stayed in the kind of film industry doing like different film works and stuff like that. But then but in the 80s, as he got a bit older, he set up his own martial art dojo in Iceland. But like he started training kids to fight, but like in Iceland, full body contact was illegal, but he was kind of running like a kids fight club. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like the kids were like messing each other up, you know. They were like properly hurting each other. But he got in a lot of trouble for it. Like it was like big controversy in Iceland over it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he got arrested for it. He got charged. I think he beat the charge, but he got done in for it. He was caught also with a BB gun, but he got a conviction for that. And that was his reason then. That was his reason then for leaving Iceland. He had to get out of there, and that's when he moved to America. But like, right, we're talking about about the group being dangerous, right? The cult itself, they practice a form of like martial arts. They teach you martial arts within the school, you know. But like it's martial arts mixed with mysticism, cultism, and kind of like it was kind of metaphysics and stuff like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like before he set up when in his early years at the school, he trained bodyguards for movie stars, and supposedly he trained the bodyguards for the Dalai Lama, you know. And he also invented a stun glove. Like, do you ever see the film Iron Man?
Yes.
The thing he has is his hands, or the power source coming out of his hands makes him helps to fly and stuff like that. Like, no, it's something similar, but it's to like knock you out, you know. It's meant to like, you know, and like look, it sounds kind of unbelievable, but like you could actually, if you do a Google search, you could actually find the patent to the stun glove, you know.
Yeah.
So like he trains bodyguards. He what you call it? He has his own kind of like what would you call it? Like aside there. Now I'm kind of getting a bit of ahead of myself there. Now I am. Yeah, basically like he trains bodyguards. He trains what you call it. He trains people to kill. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and that's what kind of worries me about the group. You know, that's why I don't really like giving my name when I do talk about him or when I write about him. You know.
Is the cult still around today?
It's still very active. They have a base. They're all over the world. They're all over the world, and I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of members, right? So they have their main base in Toronto. They have their main base in Japan. That's where Gunnason lives now at the moment, and that's where he does most of his work. But they have a base in Toronto, which is run by a fella called Dave Lanyon, and he's right. There's 3 people running the school, right? There's Dave Lanyon, Gunnason, and there's another Japanese fella. I actually can't pronounce his name. It's a funny old name, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a main base in Toronto, Japan, South Africa, and Brazil. They're their main bases, but they have members and what would you call them, ritual masters in about 60 other different countries. So they're pretty all over the place. Like they're everywhere, you know.
So they're pretty, like you were saying that, like that you feel like they're even bigger than Scientology.
If I was to make an educated guess, I would say yes, yeah, definitely, yeah, you know.
And that's pretty crazy because Scientology by itself is pretty big. Were you going to say something, Seth?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So just to rewind a little bit, you said that some of these were through your own research verified, and some were just kind of unverified that were his claims.
Yeah.
So going back to the twin thing, was it did you verify through medical records or anything that he actually did have one that passed away, or was that one of the things that was unverified?
No, talking to people who knew him.
Oh, okay. So these were claims of people that knew him, not necessarily like records. Gotcha.
And
okay. And the second one was, you said that was it also substantiated or also just claims from the people around him that he trained bodyguards for the Dalai Lama?
That one no, I couldn't substantiate, but he did have a company at the time. I'm not sure how successful the company was that trained bodyguards, but he did have a company that trained bodyguards. But at the moment he produces movies at the moment.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And he's currently residing in Iceland.
No, Japan.
Oh, Japan. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What's interesting is, when kind of looking up into this, like I hadn't heard of the mystery school stuff at all, but through looking it up, I found out that like the mystery schools is like a thing that like dates back to like Greeks and Egyptians and everything, kind of like esoteric study grounds or libraries. And in your opinion, did he just kind of hijack that whole meme of an experience and start his whole
When he left Iceland, he claimed that he moved to England, and that's when he joined the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. It's like Aleister Crowley kind of stuff. And also he claims that like he met teachers that taught him mystery school teachings in Tibet, and he said he got his power in a pyramid of Giza. But look, these are just his claims. These are the claims that he tells people. But really, started off, he went from Iceland to America, and he started off working for groups like Amway, multi-level marketing groups, like Amway, and money making schemes, get rich quick schemes.
Yeah.
And that's where he developed his signature for the school, because that's basically what the school is. It's a multi-level marketing pyramid type scheme, where you pay. See, anyone can join, but you have to pay to get through pay to get up through the ranks.
Yeah, I'm surprised he never got into cryptocurrency. He would have blossomed.
He could, Some of the claims I did establish it now. He's a DJ, and he has he has a whole collection of CDs out of like ambient music and techno and trance music.
Wait, you're saying that he himself is a DJ?
Yeah. I gotta listen to this. As well as being a movie producer. And you can actually, if you type in Goodness, he comes up on the IMBH website.
Yeah.
Where they credit all the movies that he's produced, and he's actually produced about 7 movies. Some of them with some known actors, and they're not probably the best kind of movies, or well established movies, but he has produced them,
Various amount of talents he has, he might be 3,000 years old.
Maybe it's possible. The whole thing about these guys is interesting, because he kind of reminds me of like a John McAfee type. Like before John McAfee got into all of this other this kind of snake oil pseudo political realm and also like cryptocurrency, he was like a yoga guy. He taught like a very specific style of meditation, and he turned into you can look at old videos. He's like an absolute guru, cult leader in this compound, and then he went into selling or doing research chemicals in Panama, and then he went and he just had this crazy smattering of greasy businesses, and they follow this same kind of path. I don't know. That's what kind of came to my mind hearing all of this. And is he still in any way doing mystery school stuff, or is he completely doing movie things now?
No, he says himself that he only franchises now the mystery school, but he still runs courses, right? I'll get into the courses there now, right? Because, like I said, it's a multi-level marketing thing. So you start off when you join, how they get you is they tell you that you need to be exercised, to do exorcisms out and stuff like that. So, and that's how they get you in. But then they'll tell you that you're very connected to the spiritual world, and we think that you could become a healer. You could move up. You could definitely move up and become like your own ritual master and do your own healings and stuff like that. But like, so that's how they hook you in. But like when you start off, like the courses, like the healings alone, you start off the price range for the healings start off like from anywhere between $500 say dollars to and upwards of like $2,000, and they're just the healings and the exorcisms, but then you have to, if you wanna go further, you have to go and do the other courses, which you have to get a life activation. That's what the thing I talked about at the start, the life activation with activate your 24 strands of DNA. Exactly, yeah. And
when you said he, like, this is bigger than Scientology, like on first glance I'm kind of skeptical of that, but then when you put it into terms like he's franchising this stuff out, like think of how, in terms of numbers, think of how big like Avon or Tupperware things, or like what's the other, like Mary Kay, like those, I could totally see, just number wise, not money, but number wise, it being huge. Like, especially if he's been just kind of trotting all over the world.
Massive, especially considering how much the courses cost, right? When you get past all the other courses, right? If you want to get to the top of the pyramid, right?
Yeah.
You're about a couple of $100,000 in,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe that like some people do that, like pay that much.
But see, you have to, like, a lot of people wouldn't be able to afford it, right? And a lot of the members that I talked to would have been low level members, and they spent about $20,000. They thought like, oh, this is bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But then you have people that kept on going with the courses, and they have spent hundreds of thousands, because like when you, like, there's levels you have to reach, right? So once you do the life activation course, you have to do the Healers Academy course, right? And that's about $5,000. And then you do the Healers Academy course. You have the Know Thyself course, right? Well, whichever one comes first, I'm not entirely sure. But then you become a ritual master. Then you can become a ritual master to a master 2.0, right? So it keeps going up, right? Now, let me talk about the ritual master course now, because this one's important, all right? This is where a lot of the abuse, though, because at the lower levels, right, at the lower levels of the pyramid scheme, a lot of the abuse is just financial abuse. So I mean, they're taking your money because you have to pay for things like, you have to pay for exorcisms, you have to pay for like the books, and the books that they charge you, like you can pay €200 for a book that you can actually find online for $50, $50, right? But they charge excess of a couple of €100, right?
Anything to do with like you have to pay to get healed, like that just screams like cult or scam to me. It's like you shouldn't have to do that. I don't know.
To add some validity while this was going on, so there are 109 churches of Scientology across 30 states. There is 168 franchises, essentially, the way we're wording it right now, for the mystery school. So there is, I mean, quite a few more, and it's across a multitude of countries. So it is looking like it is a bit bigger than Scientology.
Thank you. Thank you. Because I told that to Dialogue Ireland. I made that claim that they were bigger than Scientology, and they said it wasn't true because Scientology were huge. I knew after doing my research, I knew that the numbers were massive, for the modern mystery school.
Financially, Scientology holds the cake because of the massive amount of financial requirement needed to be a member of Scientology, and they probably have a much bigger membership amount, but I think as far as like physical locations are concerned, this one definitely has the upper hand.
Yeah. When we get, like I was saying earlier, when you get up through the ranks, you reach ritual master. This is where it gets dangerous. This is where the abuse kind of gets a bit kind of full on, When you get to ritual master, right? And when you get to Ritual Master 2.0, you're about $100,000 in, right? So to do the course it's a 4-day course, right? And you have to go without water and food for 4 days.
That's
right. How long can you live? How long can you live without water for? Like, is it like 3-4 days?
Not long.
Yeah, I think it's 7 days. I think it's without water.
Definitely hallucinating at that point.
Yeah, 4 days you're going to be pretty thirsty. You know what I mean? You know?
Now,
But,
I've heard that they do this to like break your will down.
yeah.
That was also
yeah,
an episode of The Simpsons. So
yeah. It does, yeah, it's to make you more malleable and
yeah,
make you more persuasive and whatever. But right, they complete the course, right, after 4 days of fasting and going without water to bring you out into the forest, to bring you out into this secluded location. And there's holes, there's like graves dug in the ground, and they tell you to get into the grave, and they bury you alive in the grave. And like that must be like the most scariest thing ever. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I have a fear of tight spaces, like, so I couldn't even imagine climbing into a hole. Do you know what I mean? And letting them throw dirt
Yeah.
on me, like, you know. Do
I mean, I'm assuming it's to the neck.
Well, what they do is throw a piece of plastic over you, and you just dump the dirt on top of you. Then so there's like a layer between you, a good bit of dirt in you, and it gets pretty heavy. You know, the dirt they're throwing you is like weighing down on them, and then they leave you there then for a few minutes, and they pull the plastic then up, and they pull you out. Then it's meant to be symbolic, you know, probably like kind of like you're reborn kind of thing, you know. But like pretty excessive, you know what I mean? Like, and like,
Oh yeah,
it's a test. It's as well to see how persuasive you can be. You know what I mean? Like, see how far you're willing to go with things. You know what I mean? Like, and I think when you're at that stage, then that's when you know they have you. That's when you know, like, we're going to get a lot
level. What level is this at?
This is at the ritual master level. No, this is when
Okay.
you go through all the other courses, like I said, the life activation, the know thyself course, the healers academy. When you become a ritual master, that's when you're allowed. You can go in and you can do your own healing, and you can do your own. You can kind of set up your own kind of like franchise, if you will, you know, and you can operate in your whatever country you're from. But look, the whole goal is, because it's multi-level marketing, is to bring in more students. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like infinite growth.
Yeah.
So okay, now has he ever, other than the backyard kid brawls and the what was the other one, the BB gun? Like, has he ever been in any kind of law enforcement issues before?
No, I think that was about it. I think that was it.
Really? Because usually these guys get hit with like tax evasion of some sort.
But look, there was issues with money as well, but I couldn't find much on that, you know. But he had definitely issues with money. I think that was another reason why he left Iceland as well, because there was definitely issues around that, you know.
Could you imagine if like you wanted to buy a McDonald's franchise and they like put you in a grave? They like drove you out to the desert.
That's a little extreme, but
It's like I just wanted to make money off the breakfast burritos, man.
You're gonna die, or you're gonna be the perfect franchisee after. So
right.
one way or the other, they win.
You have to continue to like every year, like when you reach this level, every year you still have to do the course again. You still have to pay the money again, because if you don't pay the money, they'll kick you out, and they'll tell you that, like, obviously, like, once you become a ritual master, like, and you have the magic, shouldn't the magic be for like
This is a yearly thing.
Yeah, you know, if like once you stop paying, the magic just stops. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
and they strip you of all your titles and your ritual masters, and you're out. You know.
I think franchisers should take that route. You know, if you don't pay your franchise fee annually, the magic's going to stop.
See, we have like so many different kinds of versions of that over here. It's like I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the certified health nut. Like, he started on YouTube by like slapping his nuts over a fire to get like views and like align his chakras and stuff, and then he went full on woo woo, where it's like crystal alignment and like all these different types of meditation in the middle of the desert, on an empty stomach and all of this stuff. But he's got like a following, but they're like splinter groups, or like factions. Because I would think at a certain point it would be way more profitable to just start your own thing. I mean, there's a lot of people that are just willing to sign up for this. Apparently,
well, the problem with the whole ancient teachings aspect is there's only so many scrolls that have been found. There's only so many versions of this that have been found over the years. So there's no new information. Like, all this information that like is claimed to be innovative or adaptive or just new is not. It's just a new version of a new way of saying it, a new way of approaching it, and then adding something that is completely different than what everybody else is doing. Like all of these things that was just explained are utilized in many mystery schools and are utilized in, I mean, some of them come from ancient Greek mystery schools. Some of them come from the initiatory practices of ancient Egyptian mystery schools. Like these things have been there for years and years. And I think it's just you kind of, we're at a perfect state of information overload. You have all the information at your fingertips to be able to grasp it, but nobody wants it. So it's easier just to learn from somebody who is a expert and pay to get that feeling of doing these things. Like, for example, the fasting, the meditative practices and stuff like that. There's been validity to that. The Tibetan monks, and there's definitely some versions of that show validity. But the matter of fact is that you have to dedicate your life to doing some of those things to even see any form of, and we're just not that. Like our culture is not at that level. We want a quick fix. We want to do it for a day, pay a whole bunch of money and be happy. And that's why these companies or these entities thrive, is because we just want to feel like we're doing it. We don't want to go to the gym. We want to pay for, Planet Fitness membership for $20 a month so that way we can say we go. Like we don't want to use the equipment. We just want to feel better because we have a gym membership. And that's kind of the approach that why these things take off the way that they do. Even the hallucination factor, like that's been utilized in mystery schools for a long period of time because it generates a vision. It generates something to where you're already being told these things and now you're hallucinating. So what are you probably going to hallucinate about? What you've been told or what you've been learning about. Now there's validity. Now you're bought in. You're sold.
Yeah. They teach astral travel.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of the members though that I talked to and became friends with, their biggest fear that the higher ups can get them to speak out or whatever. They can astral travel and get them in their sleep or get them in their dreams or that to do a ritual and suddenly they drop dead, And so it's like there's a lot of fear there with the members, and so much so they won't if they do speak out about it, they want to be anonymous, they won't give their name. Or I have one woman, she talks to me we were talking through WhatsApp and she was afraid that they can extract all our messages, her private messages between me and her from WhatsApp, and there's a lot of fear there,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're so freaked out that they think that they can be spotted from anywhere. That's how far they've gotten into these people's heads.
Yeah.
How long did all of this take you generally to research? Like just a general time frame?
The article took about 4 months.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Which is pretty. I kind of surprised myself, because it wasn't something I've done before. So I was kind of proud of myself for that, So I know other because story there now about one of the members. It's kind of pretty heartbreaking, But I was forced on to break the story because Vice had spent. I think they spent about 18 months doing their article, and they made a documentary, and a lot of the stuff they talked about on the documentary is what I had already written about, and they used I helped them out at some level, I gave them some of my sources and stuff, right? I'll tell you a story there now, right? They have a big following. They have a big following in South Africa. They have one of their main schools is in South Africa. And the woman in question, it was her husband that I was talking to because the woman had died. But what happened was she had left the school, but then she got cancer. Young girl. She had kids and everything, right? And she had left, but she got cancer. And one of the higher ups, her name was Rita Vandenberg. She's actually a part of this. There's within the school, there's this thing called the Council of 12 Women, right? So you have these 12 high ups. They're all women. Some of them very attractive women, And I actually talked to one of them. Her name was Anne Donnelly. She was one of the Irish recruiters, And she was actually a doctor. Do you know what I mean? So but see, that's the thing with these people. A lot of them are doctors, and Rita Vandenberg was also a doctor in South Africa. So she turned around. The young woman, her name was Chrissy Ventura, I think it is. And she got cancer, and Rita Vandenberg told her that the only way she's going to cure the cancer is if she comes back to the school and pays money for the healing, right? She said that she was going to heal her cancer. She kept on paying her money for the healings, and she had to do some courses. And so this woman went away. She spent, from what the husband told me, was upwards of $50,000, maybe a bit more. But in the end, she still died from the cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah. I wrote to the South African Health Board. They're kind of like, this is what this woman is doing. She needs to be like struck off. She needs to, you did take her a PhD or whatever. You did credentials away from her. Keep her away from people, especially if she's doing things like that. Like that. For me, that was the most heartbreaking story, that I got from it.
Like,
yeah, that's a pretty rough one.
I can understand like people wanting to heal their own way. Like I get that, and everyone should have their own right to like do something. It's sad when you are the outside looking in, knowing that it isn't something that will work. Like, it's just like, hey, rub peanut butter on your face and it'll heal you. It's just like, come on now, that's not gonna work. Like you have to, like, I wish there would have been someone to help that woman like look at like, hey, maybe still do the modern, science thing, mystery science. Like, go ahead and do that if you want to, but also try to seek like medical care for this. Like you have to understand, like, I wish there would have been someone there, or there should have been someone there to kind of help her through that. But that's really great of you to like, reach out to that, to try to get her credentials, because she's a piece of shit, like she knows it doesn't work, like, I mean, like maybe she thinks it does, but I don't know. But I mean, I guess this woman having passed away and everything, like maybe, I don't know, maybe that sucks. That it's really like pieces of shit. We say that here on the show all the time, that there's just like bad people in the world, and that's one of them.
Yeah, so. Definitely, But that's the thing, you see. Not everyone in this group are bad people, They really believe they're doing good. The whole belief is that they're saving the world from demons. They're demon slayers. That's what they are. They do rituals and they do magic, stop people from dying. And if somebody drops dead, if somebody drops dead, that's because the magic isn't working, So they had to, there was this thing in 2012. There was like this big event that was meant to happen. It was like the world was meant to end or something,
Mm-hmm.
They got every member of the school, right? But you had to pay. You had to do this, right? They made everyone pay, no matter where they were in the world. On this certain date, they all had to come together at a certain date. Not even in the same room. They could all be in different parts of the world, but at the same time, they all had to do these special rituals and stuff to save the world from ending, right? And one person asked, like, how do we know if it's going to work?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the higher ups, Damion, turned around and he said, look, if nothing happens, that means we won. That means it worked, And it, like,
talk about a perfect marketing campaign. Hey, if we're still alive, it's because of us. If not,
yeah. And they all believed that they're the only ones that know what was about to happen, and they saved us. They all had this part in saving the world, but nobody else knows about it, So they were kind of like special in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they definitely were special.
I wonder in an organization like this, like what the percentage is, because like you were saying, like there's a lot of bad people that know that this isn't working and they're just completely taking advantage of individuals. And then what percentage is like actually people that took the pill and like completely believe this, because there's a ratio, and I would love to know what it is. And I want to know what the founder, because in my mind he's the one that probably is the most full of shit, or knowledgeable in this,
like knows that it doesn't work.
Yeah, like how, like especially just looking at his background, just he's been kind of all over the place until this stuck to the wall.
Right. From people that I talk to that know. Because not everyone gets to meet the leader, Not everyone gets to meet Gundy. It's only when you go right up the ranks when you're paying somewhere between €100,000 for a course, and it's the top of the pyramid course. That's when you get to meet Gundy Gunnason. But I have a friend, I can't say his name. In the early years of the school, about 2010, he became like he went over to Japan. And he was like Gundy's, what would you call it? Kind of like lackey, like he's lackey. He had him doing stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no.
And he got pretty close to him. And he told me like he's a kind of like autistic. Look, I have a son. I have a son who's autistic, but look, he was it is mannerism, the way he talks, and but then when it comes to stuff like he claims that he's into quantum physics and all this, But when it comes to like talking about it, stuff like that. He's like pretty retarded, pretty
Yeah.
stupid, you know what I mean? Like, and he comes across kind of like childlike, sort of innocent, and he has this innocent. I think that's what a lot of people kind of would take him, because he has this kind of like innocent quality to him,
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, he's not innocent, like, because like what we had to talk about as well, like, is the other stuff that goes on in the school that people don't like. A lot of people have come out and mentioned that it happens, and you have some people that said it happened to them, but you have the sexual abuse that goes on in the school. You have, because like the Gordon Don and Alistair Crowley and stuff, they all practice sex magic, and that's a lot of that's a part of, and that's a lot of that is part of the courses. The women, because like what you have to understand as well, like for every one man that joins the school, there's like 2 women that join. So there's like 2 women to every man in the school. But a lot of it's made up of women for a reason, because the 3 leaders are men, and they're fucking sexual deviants, you know what I mean? In a way, in a sense, because they pick and choose women for their looks and for what you call it. They give them special treatment, and they bring them over to Japan, and they say, look, you'll have to come into this room and you'll have to dance, do a sensual dance to get the sexual magic kind of going in the room or whatever, And then like they make them have sex with each other. They'll have sex with the leaders. Will be like, we'll have to have sex with us and for the magic to work. And so there's a lot of that kind of shady sexual abuse stuff that goes on in the school that's it's not really talked about. It's kind of hard to prove, because a lot of people are ashamed when they do come out of it, and they don't want to talk about it, And you have some people that do talk about it. I had one of the guys that were in the school. He was young. He was only like 19 at the time, and it didn't happen. It wasn't one of the higher ups, but one of the higher ups told my friend that he has to sleep with this guy, even though he's completely straight. You're gonna have to sleep with this fella. You know what I mean? For whatever reasons. And he believed it. He believed that he had to, and he did. He slept with him. He did what he's like, fucking nasty, whatever, he had to do. Look, if it was consensual and that was, you were in men, whatever, that's all right. But it wasn't consensual in the fact that he thought he had to do it.
That's true.
Oh yeah, this is completely
and he was
predatory.
at the same time,
Yeah.
Yeah. This more and more reminds me of the Nexium cult. Like
it does, yeah.
Because
exactly,
exact same MO.
Same kind of, and the same, and like with the starvation stuff, and there's like, when it comes to the women, like, they're told what to wear. They're told that like you can't wear their sanitary products are controlled. Their calorie, you have to calorie count. You have to give up drink and cigarettes, and every aspect of their life is kind of controlled by men, in the group.
I mean, the Nexium was all like how they were emphasizing how liberating it was to be a woman in Nexium, and what they really were doing were grooming these people, and grooming like they were basically doing the same thing with the what is it called, pyramid structure, but it was to recruit more women, and this got dark. I didn't realize that it turned this realm.
I'm gonna make one more point, right?
Yeah. And
this is, nobody talks about it. I came across it, and I want to do something about it because it kind of shocks me, In Toronto, right, where the main base is, where you have to, like, if you're going doing the big courses, if you have to do the Know Thyself course, you have to go to Toronto to do it. And it's in a place called Ida Boken. I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm not really sure how to pronounce the name, but it's in Toronto anyway. But there's also, I came across a women's shelter in Toronto. It's called Habitat. Women's Habitat is called, right? So they take in women that are going through domestic abuse at home, and they've nowhere else to go, so they're escaping violence at home. Or if even young girls, a lot of teenagers that go that are facing sexual abuse at home or whatever. So if they're running up, they'll go to the school, and the centre will take them in and house them and look after them until they're ready to get back on their feet without having to go back to abuse. So what I found out was, right, now the people who run it, now they're big into like women's rights and women's freedom and like to be free of abuse and stuff like that. But what they don't actually tell you is, right, the Modern Mystery School donates money. And look, you could say, look, they're just being charitable, but they donate money to the school, a lot of money. Not to the school, sorry, to the women's shelter. They donate a lot of money to the women's shelter, all right? But not only that, right, say like events like Halloween now will come up, or Christmas, all right? The Modern Mystery School would arrange a party in the Habitat Centre for all the young teenage girls, and they'll give them laptops and iPads, and they're giving them stuff, and they're giving them money, and the Women's Habitat Centre is saying how great the school is, knowing, right, with everything that's come out about the school already, knowing that they're a dangerous organisation, they're a dangerous cult, but they're getting into bed with the Modern Mystery School, giving them access to some of the most vulnerable women out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, and a lot of the women that I talked to, a lot of them came from abuse. A lot of them came from addiction. The buddy of mine, he was recruited through a rehab centre, so they target rehab centres and they go after the most vulnerable in society. You know? So you have this centre, Women's Habitat Centre in Toronto, giving them access to like vulnerable women. You know? And I think it's shocking. And I'm actually in the process now of doing more research into it. And I want to write about it. I want to expose them. I want to put the word out there. Like, you know, you might be in the safest hands going to this Habitat Centre when they should be. You know?
I'm not surprised, but surprised at the same time. Like, that makes total sense of why someone would do that. Like, if they're trying to, get what they want. But it's such a shit move, because you're as like the shelter, you're put in a weird place where someone is offering you help and money and resources to help these people, but you know what they do. So do you not deny someone like assistance when they could? Like, let's say it's an iPad. Let's say it's a teenage girl that wants to go to college, or a laptop, and it's something where this could help her get through school or something like that. Are you going to deny her that laptop? You're put in a weird situation where, like, ultimately I don't know. Like, I don't know what I would like do as the shelter. I don't know what I'd do, because if money already is hard to get to come to the shelter, like if it's not something where like, government assisted, or people are like, it's a constant flow of like money.
I get that. They obviously need all the money they can get to help these women, but like they're getting into bed with the wrong people.
Yeah.
And how much access do they give them to the women? Like, do they turn around and say, look, go and talk to this person, they're from this Modern Mystery School, they can help you, they can heal you.
Unless it's like they offer counselors as well.
Yeah, because look, that's what Scientology does. Scientology runs their own rehab centre. What's it, Narconin, and something like that it's called. And they've done that for years, and that's how they recruited a lot of the members, was through this rehab centre,
Yeah, they also set up around college campuses a lot and do their free Thetan level screenings.
They're young, and they're suggestible, you know what I mean? Because they're young college kids.
Well, you're gonna have to keep us updated as far as how that goes, Damion. As far as like what research you do, find, and everything.
Once you got into it in the latter half, it like highlighted how serious that this is. Like it more kind of was. I was thinking just like kind of yoga freaks, but it's like got super dark. And just be careful, man. Like just kind of watch yourself and just be aware of where you're publishing and whatnot. But like at some point, like it would be great if there was like an investigation into them, but they're all over they're in so many different jurisdictions. Like how outside of just investigative journalism, I don't know how you even go about that.
They're smart to see, and that's how they're getting away with it for so long,
Yeah.
Well, much luck to you.
How would you go about getting them? Like is it through like tax evasion? What would you get them on, tax evasion?
Governments love that.
You will be.
That's the only thing I can think of. If you want to kind of.
That's the reason why they're utilizing the charities. So the reason why the charities are in use is because by donating through those charities, they're getting tax relief by donating those laptops, by donating those iPads. all of those are dollar for dollar write-offs, including
Yeah.
every other thing that they do. So I guarantee you that's an ironclad reasoning for that and why they're so involved in it.
Yeah, true that. Yeah.
Well, Damion, hey, we got to get going, but thank you thank you for stopping by. This is great. Just last little bit though, do you have any sort of like advice or suggestions or anything like that you want our listeners to hear about?
Yeah, like to know when this is up, like do you have like information under the post or anything, G? Under the, like, before you click into the link or whatever?
Yep.
Yeah, like if you can maybe even just says look up the Dialogue Ireland link. Look up the Dialogue Ireland website, and if you can maybe put a link to Dialogue Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, director, he's great man. He's a friend of mine. Mike Gard is his name, and like he's for like years and years and years he's been helping people. Dialogue Ireland itself, like they have everything on every cult. Do you know what I mean? Like the experts in cults. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like if you could just put a link Dialogue Ireland website, if you can.
Yeah, definitely. That's too easy. We can definitely do that. And then I know you said you had written some articles and everything like that. If you want us to put those in there too, we definitely can.
I'll send you a link to it. Be brilliant.
Awesome. Hey, Damion, thank you again for stopping by. We really appreciate it.
I hope I was all right, because I'm like this is new to me, and I'm not the best speaker in the world. I'm a writer. That's why I love writing. I put my thoughts on the paper, and
No, hey, you did great. We really appreciate it. You were you had a lot of information to throw at us. We have a lot to talk about and a lot to think about from this, and I'm sure our audience members do too.
Thanks a million.
So awesome. You did great though.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Nice one.
All right, bye.
Bye.